Finally, the new Atlas Deluxe skin arrives, and what's better way to celebrate this amazing skin than to give you guys an Atlas build that will surely make you love this awesome frame even more. So, let's not delay, and get into the details on how to have tons of fun playing this amazing stoner boy. Before I show you the build, let me give you some ideas on Atlas Kit. His first ability, Landslide, is basically his strongest ability. It gives you that one punch power plus. This ability is really great in high level missions, because not only does it deal good amount of damage, but it also gives you invincibility frames. When you build your Atlas right, then you will be punching enemies in a room until no one is left. His second ability, Tectonics, is basically a rock wall with health. In my case, I only use this ability on index, to stop enemies from cashing in index points. In other missions, I don't find it that amazing, as it only gives you frontal protection. You are better off using Landslide, and taking advantage of its invincibility frames, than using this ability for survivability purposes. This ability does deal damage by pressing the second ability key again. When you do, the rock wall will turn into a rolling boulder, which can both knock down and damage enemies. His third ability is called Petrify. It turns enemies into stone, and enemies turned into stone will receive additional damage from all sources. In addition, petrified enemies that are shattered will drop a unique pickup called Trouble, which grants Atlas additional armor, and health if he's missing some. And his last ability is called Rumblers. Well, plain and simple. Summon 2 stone brothers to fight for you. These 2 golems does last for a couple of seconds, depending on how much duration you have for Atlas, and they drop rubble when they die. So those were the basics. Now, let's proceed to how I build my Atlas. So this is how I build my Atlas. For my build, I really prefer efficiency and power strength. I do have max efficiency on this build, paired with the primed flow mod, as I really like casting all of Atlas abilities, especially his Landslide. Well, who doesn't love punching enemies in the face until they are broken to bits and pieces? You might wonder why I choose to have all umbral mods, plus the adaptation mod. The answer is quite simple. It's for survivability purposes. I know that you can depend on your first ability's invincibility, but the thing is, it's better to have another way to survive enemy hits. Just think of it as an extra layer of survivability, to let you take heavy hits, whenever you are casting his other abilities, or doing something else. The amount of armor that these umbral mods, plus the amount you received from your Rubble ability, will help you survive. Now, add adaptation on that, and you will definitely be tougher. The good part is, adaptation does proc while you are invincible during Landslide, so basically, you will build up adaptation's buff while you are invincible, to the point that you will gain that 90% damage mitigation from a certain status. Now let's talk about this augment mod. Path of Statues may not be that good at low to mid levels, as surely, you will be one-punching enemies. Petrify and Landslide will be more than enough to kill every enemies in the star chart. However, at high-level missions, Petrify will be terrible, as this ability is really slow, and take note of this, you need to turn enemies to stone, especially those high-level enemies with armor, so you can punch them to death much faster. This is where Path of Statues shines. It gives you the ability to turn enemies to stone, while you are punching them with your Landslide. Think of it as a safer way to petrify a target, and kill them faster. And lastly, Steel Charges obviously to give Atlas first ability more damage, plus the mod capacity to put all these required mods for this build. And yes, this build will be better if you maxed out adaptation mod. Now, I know that the build will be much better if we add more power strength in it. But the thing is, it will definitely make our build inefficient. Instead of investing too much power strength on our Atlas build, we can easily increase the damage of Landslide by modding your melee weapon right. Yes, the mods that you equipped on your melee weapon does affect the damage of your Landslide. Question now is, what mods are helpful for your Landslide? We all know that Landslide does deal impact damage, but everyone doesn't know that Landslide has a measly 5% critical chance, with 2 times critical damage multiplier, along with a poor 5% status chance. Clearly, it's really not wise to mod it for critical, nor status. Also, we can't use Acolyte mods like Blood Rush or Weeping Wounds on Landslide, so yes, it's a big no to mod for critical or status focus Landslide. The only thing we can do is, using the right melee weapon, and using all damage mods as much as possible, for a regular melee weapon of your choice. Then this is the most optimal mod setup. to increase the damage of your landslide, have as much as damage, impact damage, and add all the elemental damage mods that you can fit in on your melee weapon. In addition, your combo counter does increase your landslide damage, so it's wise to put drifting contact on your build. Much better if you can put body count if you have it, since the status chance on drifting contact won't contribute that much. And lastly, Spoiled Strike's negative attack speed doesn't affect landslide, it only takes its damage buff, so it's a good mod choice for your landslide. The damage is quite decent against unarmored enemies, and in fact, you can absolutely one-punch every enemies with your landslide. However, if you are against high-level, heavily armored units, then it would normally take a few hits to take them down, but you can actually manage this problem by equipping a good armor-stripping weapon on your arsenal, like the Pox. Strip a bit of their armor, and then punch them with your first ability, and Pox is the best for me, as the toxic clouds stay for a while. You really don't need to be accurate in hitting the enemies, just place the projectile in the right place, and the clouds will strip armor. This is a good option, but wait, there are other ways to increase the damage of your landslide. Like I have said earlier, you can increase the damage of your first ability by equipping the right mods, and the right melee weapon. I know the fact that melee weapon stats doesn't affect landslide, but the only mods that you equipped, but there are certain weapons that actually has special effects on Atlas landslide ability. The first one is Venka Prime. Like I said earlier, combo counter does increase the damage of your first ability. The higher your combo counter, the higher the damage your landslide deals. Venka Prime does ramps up its combo counter faster than the usual melee weapon. This is why it's a good choice for your Atlas. However, you may not see the increase in damage at 1.75 times combo counter, but when you are at 3.25 times, that is where you see some serious punching power. Now, there are other melee weapons that are great for Atlas. They don't have the same effect as Venka Prime, but what they do is give your landslide additional damage through mods. These weapons are called stat sticks. What they have are equipable melee weapon augments, which gives more melee damage, and good Riven disposition, which allows you to roll higher stat values on your Riven. Yes, both weapon augments and Riven does work with Atlas landslide, and it's wise to choose a weapon that could equip augments and Rivens that have good disposition. Say for example, dual cleavers, which can equip the Justice Blades augment, and has a good Riven disposition. In my case, I somehow rolled a melee damage stat on this Riven. Corpus damage is good for faction-specific mission, but the critical damage won't be that helpful. The best stats for your Riven would be melee damage, impact damage, and any elemental damage. Attack speed won't affect landslide, so it won't do you any good. Cleavers are really good for your landslide ability, but if there's one best stat stick for Atlas, that is the simple Jaw Sword. Jaw Sword may seem like for low-level MR players, but the truth is, it's one of the best stat sticks in the game. It has a weapon augment, plus it has a 5-star Riven disposition right now, with the Blade of Truth augment, plus all the necessary damage mods. Then paired with this Riven, I can say that my Atlas is a true heavy hitter. Right now, I'm really enjoying Atlas with his most recent rework, plus this new thick skin of his. For those who are saying that Atlas is bad, then let me say this to you, you're not punching harder. I do hope that you have learned something from this video. If you do, please do give it a like, and if you want to see more informative Warframe videos like this, you can subscribe to our channel. Simply click that big subscribe button below. Thank you so much for watching. Squad Leader signing off.